Chosen one, stop scrolling. This message is not crossing your screen by chance, and it is not meant for everyone. It is meant for you. What you are about to hear is God's message, arriving in exact divine alignment, revealing why this moment found you and why something inside you went quiet instead of moving on. This video is about your spiritual awakening, the shift already unfolding within you, and why you were drawn here before your mind could explain it. If you stay, you will understand what has been activating beneath the surface of your life and why this moment matters more than you realize. Listen carefully. This is not coincidence. This is not timing luck. This is a divine calling speaking directly to the chosen one. When God's message reaches those who are awake, it does not shout, it resonates. It feels familiar before it feels logical. Something in you recognized truth before thought could interfere, and that recognition is the reason you are still here. Keep watching, because what is being revealed next will confirm what your spirit already knows, and it will change how you see everything that led you to this moment. You have felt this before, even if you could not name it. A sense that your life carries weight. A feeling that your path has required more endurance, more awareness, more patience than others around you. That pressure you have lived with, that quiet internal intensity, is not weakness. It is evidence of calling. Spiritual awakening does not begin with fireworks. It begins with awareness. It begins when the soul wakes up before the world changes. I need you to hear this without fear. A divine shift is approaching, and it is closer than you think. Within the next 72 hours, something will move. Not loudly, not dramatically, but precisely. This divine shift begins inside you before it ever shows itself outside of you. God always moves inward first. Clarity before change. Alignment before outcome. If you are expecting chaos, you will miss it. If you are expecting awareness, you are already prepared. This is why you have felt different lately. More observant, less tolerant of noise, less willing to betray your own knowing. You may have felt tired in a way sleep does not fix. That is not burnout. That is transition. When a chosen one is about to cross a threshold, the soul grows quiet so it can hear instruction. God's message often arrives wrapped in stillness. If what I am saying feels accurate in a way that surprises you, I invite you to comment 777, not as a trend, not as a signal to me, as a conscious agreement with your own awareness. Alignment is a decision. When a chosen one chooses to acknowledge truth, truth responds. This is how divine calling activates, through recognition, not force. Let me establish something important here. You are safe in this message. There is no manipulation here, no pressure, no urgency born from fear. Divine authority does not rush you, it reassures you. God's message does not confuse, it clarifies, and what is coming will surprise you, not because it is dramatic, but because it is exact. It will fit so perfectly that you will wonder how you ever doubted it. Chosen one, you have not been imagining the resistance. The war is real, not the kind fought with noise or weapons, but the quiet war against your focus, your faith, your self-trust. When light enters the world, pressure follows. Your sensitivity is not fragility, it is precision. Your awareness is not overthinking, it is discernment sharpening. This is why your light is necessary. Not everyone is built to carry it. Not everyone is meant to see what you see. A divine calling and chosen one path is not glamorous at the beginning. It is lonely. It is refining. It asks you to stand still while others move without meaning. But hear this clearly. God does not awaken souls without purpose. Spiritual awakening is not a phase, it is an assignment. Circle back with me now to the truth. We began with, this is God's message. You are not imagining this pull. You were called. The alignment you feel is real. The pressure you survived was preparation. The divine shift already unfolding within you is proof that you are ready to hold more without losing yourself. Your light is not a threat. It is a necessity. And the next 72 hours will not change who you are. They will confirm it. If this touched your soul, if something inside you knows this was meant for you, comment 111. Because you know it now, without needing proof, you were called. Why the shift is happening now? Chosen one, there comes a moment on every divine calling and chosen one path when the pressure becomes noticeable, not loud, not chaotic, but constant. A quiet compression inside the chest, a sense that something is forming beneath the surface. This is not anxiety, this is not restlessness. This is preparation reaching its limit. God's message meets you here to explain why this moment is happening now and why it could not have happened sooner. Before every true change, there is a period of internal pressure. Not pressure meant to break you, but pressure meant to shape you. Think of how something valuable is formed. It is not rushed. It is not scattered. It is refined under steady force until it can hold its final form. That is what you have been living through. The exhaustion you felt was not because you were failing. It was because you were carrying more awareness than before. The emotional detachment was not numbness. It was your spirit learning to release what could no longer travel with you. This 72-hour transformation you are standing at the edge of is not sudden luck. It is not random timing. It is the release point after long spiritual compression. Nothing about it is accidental. Every delay, every pause, every moment where progress seemed slower than it should have been, was intentional. God does not rush transformation. God prepares vessels, and preparation often feels like waiting to the mind, but it feels like pressure to the soul. Spiritual awakening often arrives disguised as confusion. You question your direction. You feel disconnected from old goals. You become aware of patterns that once felt normal. You start noticing what drains you and what strengthens you. You feel tired of pretending. These are not signs that something is wrong. These are signs that alignment is forming. Awareness always increases before movement does. God's message reaches the chosen one at the moment when awareness has matured enough to be trusted. You were not stalled. You were being strengthened. You were not ignored. You were being refined. Every challenge that forced you to slow down was teaching you how to listen. Every disappointment that made you question your path was sharpening your discernment. Every season of silence was training you not to panic when answers take time. This is spiritual training, not punishment. Divine calling and chosen. One paths are never about speed. They are about stability. There is a reason the divine shift is happening now and not earlier. Earlier, it would have overwhelmed you. Earlier, you would have chased outcomes instead of holding alignment. Earlier, you might have abandoned yourself trying to keep what arrived too soon. God's message is clear here. Timing is protection. You are reaching this moment because you are finally able to receive without losing yourself in the process. You may have noticed that you no longer react the way you used to. Things that once pulled you into emotional spirals now feel distant. That does not mean you stopped caring. It means you stopped bleeding energy where it was not honored. Emotional detachment is not coldness. It is clarity. Heightened awareness is not overthinking. It is perception refining itself. When something is about to shift, the soul becomes quieter so it can hear instruction instead of noise. The sense that something is about to happen is not imagination, it is recognition. Spiritual awakening does not announce itself with certainty at first. It announces itself with anticipation. You feel on edge, but not fearful. Alert, but not anxious. This is what readiness feels like. This is what happens when the internal work has reached completion and the external world is about to respond. The divine shift is happening now because you can finally hold what is coming without breaking your own alignment. You are no longer seeking validation the way you once did. You are no longer willing to betray your intuition for approval. You are learning how to stand still without needing reassurance. That is readiness. God prepares the inner structure before allowing the outer expansion. Without that structure, blessings become burdens. Circle back with me again to the truth. This is a message from God. You are not imagining this. You were called. The war you have felt was not external at first. It was the quiet battle to stay awake in a world that numbs awareness. The resistance you faced was real because your light is real. Light is always noticed, even when it is not understood. And that is why it is necessary. You were never meant to blend in. You were meant to stabilize. You were meant to see clearly while others rush blindly. The pressure you survived did not weaken you. It calibrated you. And now, as this divine shift approaches, you are not entering it confused or unprepared. You are entering it awake. Hold this truth with confidence. The timing is not late. It is exact. The preparation was not excessive. It was required. God's message arrives now because you can finally trust yourself enough to follow it. And that is why the next 72 hours matter, not because everything will change instantly, but because you will. If this touched your soul, if something inside you recognizes this as truth, comment 111, because you know it now, without needing proof, you were called. What changes during the 72-hour transformation? Chosen one, this is where understanding deepens, not in theory, not in imagination, but in lived experience. When we speak about a 72-hour transformation, we are not talking about spectacle. We are not talking about instant miracles designed to impress others. We are talking about something far more precise and far more powerful. We are talking about alignment overtaking resistance. We are talking about the moment when the inner world finally catches up with the work you have already done. The first thing that shifts during a 72-hour transformation is clarity. Not loud clarity, not answers falling from the sky, but a quiet, steady knowing that replaces confusion. Thoughts slow down. Emotional noise settles. You begin to see situations as they are, not as fear painted them. This is not because circumstances suddenly become perfect, but because perception becomes honest. Spiritual awakening sharpens vision. What once felt complicated begins to feel obvious. What once drained you starts to reveal itself clearly. This is why the surprise is not noise. It is recognition. You recognize what aligns and what does not. You recognize where your energy flows naturally and where it has been leaking. You recognize which connections feel grounding and which feel heavy. The chosen one does not suddenly judge others during a divine shift. They simply stop forcing compatibility where there is none. This clarity feels calm, not harsh. It feels like relief. Emotional release is another key change. During this divine shift, emotions you have been holding quietly begin to loosen their grip, not through breakdown, but through understanding. You may find yourself less reactive to things that once triggered you deeply. Old fears lose their urgency. Old wounds stop demanding attention. This does not mean they disappear instantly. It means they no longer control your decisions. Healing begins when fear stops being the loudest voice in the room. Intuitive sharpness increases during a 72-hour transformation. You start trusting your first knowing again. Decisions feel lighter because you are no longer arguing with yourself. Silence becomes guidance rather than emptiness. You realize that not every pause needs to be filled. Not every question needs an immediate answer. The chosen one learns that stillness is not stagnation. It is communication. God's message often arrives in the spaces where panic used to live. This divine shift often begins subtly. A conversation that lands differently than expected. A realization that rearranges your priorities without drama. A sudden calm where anxiety once ruled. A boundary that finally feels natural instead of guilt-filled. These moments may seem small to the outside world, but to you they feel significant. That is how you know this shift is real. Not everyone will notice it, but you will, because your internal world has changed. As this 72-hour transformation unfolds, you may notice that you are no longer trying to convince others of your truth. You stop explaining yourself unnecessarily. You stop seeking permission to feel what you feel. This is not withdrawal. This is self-respect activating. Spiritual awakening teaches the chosen one that alignment does not require agreement. You are allowed to move differently without justification. Another change that happens is how you relate to fear. Fear does not vanish, but it loses authority. It becomes information instead of a commander. You notice it, acknowledge it, and move forward anyway. This is a sign of maturity, not recklessness. The divine shift does not remove challenges. It removes paralysis. You begin acting from clarity instead of avoidance. Time itself can feel different during this window. Moments slow down. You become more present, less scattered. You may feel drawn to rest more or to simplify your surroundings. This is your nervous system adjusting to alignment. When resistance drops, the body recalibrates. There is nothing wrong with this. God's message is not only heard in thought, it is integrated through the entire being. What is important to understand is that this transformation is not about forcing outcomes. You are not meant to chase signs, manipulate events, or demand results. That is the old way. Alignment works differently. When resistance fades, movement becomes natural. Doors open without struggle. Decisions make sense without debate. This is the quiet power of a divine shift. During these 72 hours, you may also notice increased confirmation. Not dramatic signs meant to impress you, but subtle reinforcement. A sentence you hear at the right time. A memory that suddenly makes sense. A pattern you finally recognize. These are not coincidences. They are echoes. When alignment is present, life reflects it back gently. Circle back now to the truth. We began with, this is a message from God. You are not imagining these shifts. You are not reading too much into your experience. You were called, the war you have felt is real. Not everyone fights it consciously, but you have. You fought the war against self-betrayal, against numbing, against shrinking your light to make others comfortable. Your light is necessary because it stabilizes more than just you. Even when unseen, it changes the field around you. The divine shift happening within you is not random. It is timely, it is earned, and it is sustainable because you are no longer trying to become someone else. You are finally allowing yourself to be who you already are. This 72-hour transformation does not make you superior. It makes you responsible. Responsible for your awareness. Responsible for your alignment. Responsible for choosing truth over comfort. And that responsibility is not a burden. It is freedom. Because once you see clearly, you can no longer live blindly. Stand in this with confidence. You do not need to rush. You do not need to prove anything. The shift is already unfolding because you are ready to hold it. God's message meets you here to confirm what you already feel. This is real, this is happening, and this is purposeful. If this touched your soul, if something inside you recognizes this as truth, comment 111, because you know it now. Without needing proof, you were called. What to do and not do during this window. Chosen one, when a divine shift is active, the greatest wisdom is restraint. Not in fear, not in suppression, but in trust. This window is not asking you to do more, it is asking you to listen better. God's message during moments like this is rarely about action. It is about reception, about allowing clarity to arrive without interference. When alignment is forming, stillness becomes an act of strength. What you are holding right now does not need to be pushed forward. It needs space. Awareness is already working on your behalf. The more you try to force meaning, the more you delay recognition. This is why patience feels different during a spiritual awakening. It is no longer passive waiting. It is active presence. You are not standing still because nothing is happening. You are standing still because something important is landing. Trust is central here. Not blind trust in outcomes, but grounded trust in your perception. The divine calling and chosen one path requires discernment, not urgency. If something is meant to move, it will move without panic. If something is meant to stay unclear, clarity will arrive when it can be held responsibly. God's message does not require you to chase signs. It asks you to notice what is already being revealed. During this window, it is important not to overthink what you are feeling. Analysis belongs to the mind, alignment belongs to the body and the soul. You may notice sensations before explanations, calm before logic, certainty without evidence. This does not mean you are being irrational. It means you are perceiving from a deeper level. Spiritual awakening often feels like knowing before understanding. There is also wisdom in what not to do. Do not rush to explain your experience to people who cannot hear it. Validation seeking drains clarity. Some people are not meant to witness this stage of your journey. That does not make them wrong. It makes them unassigned. The chosen one does not isolate out of superiority. They protect alignment out of respect. Self-doubt may try to resurface during this time, not because something is wrong, but because old patterns resist replacement. Doubt asks you to question what you already know. Awareness invites you to trust what has been consistent. If you feel tempted to second-guess yourself, pause. Return to stillness. God's message does not pressure you into decisions. It steadies you into readiness. Rest is not avoidance here. It is integration. When deep shifts occur internally, the nervous system recalibrates. You may need more quiet, more sleep, less stimulation. This is not weakness. This is intelligence. A divine shift reorganizes energy. Honor that process. Listening inwardly is not withdrawal from life. It is preparation for participation at a higher level. You may also feel the urge to make sudden decisions, to cut ties quickly, to declare conclusions before they settle. Resist that impulse. Not because the direction is wrong, but because timing matters. Alignment does not rush itself. When the moment to act arrives, it will feel natural, not forced. Calm confidence is the signal. Anxiety is not. Trust what feels grounded. Trust what repeats quietly. Trust what remains consistent even when emotions fluctuate. Spiritual awakening refines intuition, but intuition speaks softly. It does not argue. It does not beg. It simply waits to be acknowledged. The divine shift you are in does not require dramatic gestures. It requires honesty. Remember, this alignment is not loud. It does not announce itself. It does not demand attention. But it is undeniable. When something is right, it settles. When something is wrong, it agitates. Let your body teach you what your mind is still learning. God's message is often confirmed through peace, not excitement. Circle back now to where we began. This is a message from God. You are not imagining this season. You are not exaggerating your awareness. You were called. The war you have felt was real. The tension between staying asleep and waking up was real. And the fact that you are here means you chose consciousness over comfort. Your light is necessary, not because it shines loudly, but because it stabilizes truth quietly. The way you move through this window matters, not for performance, but for preservation. You are learning how to carry clarity without urgency, power without force, awareness without fear. Stand firm in that. Trust what is unfolding. You are not behind. You are not late. You are exactly where alignment can reach you fully. God's message meets you here to remind you that readiness is not proven through action, but through restraint. If this touched your soul, comment 111, because you know it now without needing proof you were called. Confirmation, blessing and closing alignment. Chosen one, let this settle now. You did not imagine this message, and you did not imagine its timing. God's message reached you exactly when it was meant to, not because you were searching, but because you were ready. Nothing about this moment is accidental. The divine shift you have been sensing is already unfolding, and the next 72 hours are not about confusion or uncertainty. They are about confirmation, quiet, steady confirmation that what you have felt in your spirit is real. You are not late. You are not behind. You are not disconnected. Even in silence, you are supported. Even when answers felt delayed, guidance never left you. Spiritual awakening does not always feel dramatic. Often it feels like a deep breath you did not realize you were holding finally being released. Awareness itself is evidence of awakening. The fact that you can sense alignment forming means it already exists. Let reassurance rest on you now. You are seen, not just by people, not just by circumstances, but by the source that called you awake. God does not abandon those who carry light. Guidance does not stop just because the path grows quiet. Some seasons are meant to teach you how to trust what you hear inside when there is nothing outside confirming it yet. That is not absence. That is refinement. The divine shift moving through you does not need approval. It does not need witnesses. It needs steadiness. The 72-hour transformation is not here to overwhelm you. It is here to anchor you. You may notice clarity where there used to be noise, calm where there used to be tension, certainty where there used to be doubt. These are confirmations, not coincidences. Chosen one, remember this. Awareness is power. You do not awaken by accident. Spiritual awakening happens when the soul is strong enough to carry truth without distortion. You have reached that strength. Not because life was easy, but because you stayed present through difficulty. Not because you were protected from the war, but because you endured it without losing yourself. Yes, the war is real. The war against your focus, against your faith, against your willingness to trust your own knowing. And the fact that you are here means you did not lose. You learned. Your light is necessary because it reminds the world that clarity still exists, even quietly, even without recognition. As this message comes to a close, do not rush back into noise. Let calm certainty be your anchor. You do not need to figure everything out. You do not need to explain what is happening to anyone. Alignment will speak for itself. When the time comes to move, movement will feel natural. Until then, presence is enough. If you feel aligned with what has been spoken here, I invite you to comment 777, not as promotion, not as habit, as acknowledgement. A simple recognition between you and your own awareness that you heard what was meant for you. Alignment responds to recognition. Circle back one final time to the truth. We began with, "This is a message from God." You are not imagining your awareness. You were called. The war you felt was real. The preparation mattered. And your light is not optional. It is necessary. You do not carry it to be seen. You carry it to stabilize truth, where confusion once lived. Stand calmly in that. You are guided. You are supported. You are awake. And what unfolds next will not take you by surprise, because your spirit already knows. If this touched your soul, comment 111. Because you know it now, without needing proof, you were called.